Hey, let's go. Let's go, man. Look, I'm back. I'm back, man. I'm back and I'm fired up. I'm fired up and I'm ready to talk to you about something today because I got a message for you. Listen to me. Listen. It's your boy, man. If you don't know me, Aaron Mars, right? The umpire of safety. Let's go. Come on. I'm here to uphold the highest level of integrity that you can put forth out in the workplace, out into the world. Let's go, let's go, let's go. So listen to me, listen to me. I was thinking about something today, and what came to my mind is, you have to become more technical and more intentional when it comes to your safety. Listen to me. Listen, you got to become more technical and intentional when it comes to your safety. Listen to me, man. Every single day we get up and we go out into the world, right? There's not an organization out there that I can think of, a place of business, a place where people and humans either go to work or go to for leisure, in public or in private, that doesn't have the mission or the priority of safety as their top main paramount priority. Listen, safety is at the highest level right now and it's there to stay. Let me tell you something. They don't want to change the way that they're not going to sacrifice cost, and they're not going to sacrifice they will sacrifice cost, they'll sacrifice schedule, they'll sacrifice production, right? In the name of safety, because safety is paramount. And let me tell you something, if you're out there in the workplace and you're just like me, you get up, you put on your work clothes day in and day out, and you get out there in the workforce, let me tell you something, that safety is paramount. Safety is paramount. So check this out. In order to become more technical and intentional, you got to understand what you're doing, right? And I'll never forget it, right? I got married, right, at age 30 to my beautiful wife, right? And one thing that I found out early on in our marriage, right, is that, hey, we didn't agree on everything. Come on, somebody got to talk to me today. Somebody, listen, somebody's out there, right? And you have a situation or you got a circumstance in your life, and the solution that you have for it is not always the best solution, right? You have somebody in your family that might be going through something, and you might feel like you're the expert in the particular field, but you don't really know what that person's dealing with. You don't know what their perspective is, but you feel like you're right, and you might not, and they might be wrong, and therefore you got some type of disagreement. Some way you're bumping heads and things like that, and that's what me and my wife were doing, right? Look at your financial situation. You might want to get somewhere with your finances, but because of your spending habits and the things that you do, right, you might be bumping heads with that, right? When it comes to the vision of the dream that you have for your life, you might want to accomplish something humongous and without measure in your life, but you live within limits because you're comfortable and you don't know what it means to take a risk, and you don't necessarily take that extra step to get to where you're trying to get to, and because of that, you're bumping heads. Come on with me. Somebody got to hear what I'm saying. Listen, but when we started our marriage out, that was one thing that I understood, that, hey, we don't agree on everything. So I began to call out to the Lord and seek and try to find out ways that I could, better communicate or get on one accord with my wife and things like that. And the one thing that I was able to finally understand is that I had to be more technical and intentional, right, when it comes to actually dealing with my wife, right? Listening to her needs and the things that she wants, right? I had to be technical and intentional with sitting down and giving her eye contact when she gets off work and she has had a rough day and she just needs somebody to talk to and vent to, I had to be available for that. When it's time for us to have meals together, I have to be available for that. I had to make sure that I had set boundaries at work so that nobody was calling me and requesting me and I'm sending emails. Once I get home, I have to shut that stuff off so I can give her my undivided attention. Let me tell you something. And once I started doing that, once I started saying, hey, honey or babe, you know, you want me to do the laundry this weekend? Let me go in and mop these floors before you get home from work, or fix you something to eat, right? Attending to your needs. You don't have to ask me to rub your feet when you get off from a hard days of standing on your feet all day, right? I'll give you a back rub whenever, right? Once I started doing that, right, I was able to have full agreement, communication with my wife on certain things, and I had to get more technical and intentional about doing that, right? And so when I look at the workplace right now and what safety is demanding from us as humans and from us as supervisors and workers and laborers and people that are doing tasks day in and day out, right, is that we have to get more technical and intentional about why we're doing something the safe way and not the other way. Let me tell you something. A rule and a regulation is great, but until you figure out why, right, you have no perspective on what that really means for your life, right? And I want to tell you something. Day in and day out, you're asked to do certain things. You're asked to take your mindset to another level, right? To be more technical and intentional about why, if a hazard exists, and why you have to implement a certain safety measure because that hazard exists. What might happen if you expose yourself to that hazard without that safety measure? You know, what kind of things might you lose in the event that you expose yourself to this particular risk, right? Without that safety measure in place. And that's what I mean by being technical and intentional, right? You need to become on one accord with the safety measure and the task and why you're doing what you're doing it and why you're doing it safely and not just following a rule because that's what the rule says. There might be some changes in the workplace that happens because of that, and if those changes happen, that might cause that thing or that procedure to have to adapt to those changes in the environment. And if you don't know why you're doing what you're doing, if you're not technical about it, if you're not intentional about it, then you're not going to understand why something needs to be done a certain way. But look, let me take you a step further here, right? I understand everybody in this room, everybody that's looking and watching right now, everybody has a vision. Everybody has a dream. Everybody is sent here to this earth with a purpose, right? And because of that, right, you're here, you need to be more technical and intentional about those things that you're showing up for work every day. Stop showing up every day and just going through the motions and just settling for the fact that, hey, this is just a paycheck to pay some bills. It might be check to check for you right now. But guess what? In the back of your mind, in your heart, and your heart's desire and the deepest yearning, right, you see yourself out of that situation. And how do you see yourself out of that situation? You have to become more technical and intentional about doing that. Listen to me. Safety gives us the practice as humans, right, to get to the next level in our lives. There's no more do we have to settle for the life that we think we have been given or handed to us, right? We live in a place where we can take our lives from the lowest level and take it to the highest level, right, within a short amount of time. If we apply ourselves and become more technical and intentional about how we're doing things, right? If we come in and day out and we become more technical and intentional about safety, we can take that same level of energy that we apply to our jobs, that we apply to our tasks, that we apply to that thing that we're sacrificing everything for, to show up day in and day out, and we can take that same level of energy and apply it to those things in our lives that we're doing, that we want to accomplish, those things that we desire, that vision that we see out in our life. And I'm telling you, once you start doing that, oh, I'm a living, breathing example. Once you start becoming more technical and intentional about taking your life to the next level, about upholding the procedures and the plans that you've been sent here to accomplish, you might want to go out and create something that might stop the violence in the communities with the youth and the young people. You might want to go out and create something, right, that might help send kids to college, or help, or maybe even build a school in a community that has failing schools. You might want to do something in your family that your family has never had before. You might be the first to want to establish some type of legacy or some type of economy within your own family that they can use to build on for the next 4 or 5 generations down the road, right? There might be somebody in your family that might be ill, suffering from some type of illness, and because you haven't been technical and intentional about what you are sent here to do, right? When you get around that person, you don't know what to say. You don't know what to do. You just stand there and you soak up that energy that they're in. If they're in a place that's not good, you can't help them, but you want to. You have a desire to want to help them. Let me tell you something. When you're more technical and intentional about everything that you do on your job every single day as it relates to safety, you'll be more technical and intentional about what you're doing in your everyday life. When you get those phone calls late at night that somebody has lost a loved one, you'll have the words in you to speak to that person that'll help bring life and bring peace into that moment, because they're suffering through what they're doing. And that's what's important about this life. It's important that you become the highest level of the human that you are sent here to be. But in order to do that, you gotta be technical and you gotta be intentional. And every day you practice that. Day in and day out, you practicing being technical and intentional all day. You have to mitigate this hazard and eliminate this risk. And you have to follow this procedure. And you have to look at this policy and follow it to the T, right? The rules and regulations are there for you to understand why. And if you're not technical and intentional, you'll never understand why. And then you won't understand why you desire something, but it's not manifested in your life. You want to manifest those things that you desire. There's no reason to be on this earth and to desire things and to only leave this earth one day and realize the whole time you were here that it's not going to happen. Why would you have that desire? Why would you have that vision? Why would you have that dream if it wasn't for it to be something that's manifested in your life? I'm telling you right now, stand up, become more intentional and technical about what it is you're doing every single day. Let that carry over into your life. And like I always say, I'm the umpire, baby. Listen to me. I'm going to uphold the highest level of integrity in the workplace. I'm going to uphold the highest level of integrity of life. It's like life is life. It's all connected. Let me tell you something. Aaron Mars, lead consultant for Legacy Economics Group, the umpire safety, baby. Let me tell you something. Come holler at me. I will get your workforce, I'll get your people out to where they need to get to, and we'll begin to grow as a community. Let's go.